It is a beautiful morning. Check out our Queen's Wreath vine and how beautiful it's coming in. We finally found some time to trim it up. Look at all of those beautiful flowers. So today I'm going to start with showing you all the soil amendments I'll be putting into this garden. And then I'll be showing you what I am planting in the garden and what I'm using throughout the year to care for them, to fertilize, and everything else. So, and then I'll give you a tour of the garden and all of the weed garden. So, first of all, most importantly, we are amending our beds and our in-ground garden with compost. Now, this is compost that I started with last fall, and just basically have been adding kitchen scraps, you can see lots of eggshells, all the things that you can compost, and it's just beautiful. This is so important to the garden. But if you have no compost, you can always buy compost. I've used mushroom compost in the past if I run out and don't have enough, or use throughout the year. But I'm already starting my compost bin for the following season, and I'll take a peek over there and show you what I'm throwing into mine. But we'll be putting a thin layer of this in our garden. And then here's some other things we'll be putting into our garden. I always like using Azomite, and this is just full of all kinds of nutrients. You've got potash, calcium, magnesium, sodium, and it's OMRI listed. We use this on our fruit trees, and I can testify that if we use this on our fruit trees, we get almost double a harvest. Same within the garden. It just does really well to all of our plants. Last year I did not do Azomite on our fruit trees, and we did not get as good of harvest. So I decided I got to make sure I do this every season. Also in Florida, we can have all kinds of trouble with nematode problems, and I'll put all the links to all these products that I'm using in the description below. And what nematodes are, if you don't know if you have them, if you're pulling up your plants and you're noticing there's all kinds of root knots on them, and you're noticing that you're losing a lot of plants, your plants are becoming sick, most likely you have what's called a nematode. I like to treat our garden every year with this. Sometimes you got to do it a few times. So I'll be using this in the garden. Over here, I love Neptune Harvest Organic Fertilizers and Soil Amendments. I've definitely seen an improvement over this past year of using it. I will show you some other products of theirs here in a minute. But what this is, we have the kelp meal and crab and lobster shell. So I will be spreading just a tiny bit of the Azomite, the kelp meal, the crab and lobster shell, along with our compost in our beds to then get ready to plant. So I'm going to do that and today with the kids, and then we'll start planting. So over here is my new garden table that my stepson and husband built for me that I'm super excited about. Whenever we do our workshops, I really don't have, I kind of had a whole bunch of tables that were pieced together over here. It looked kind of crappy, but this way I can keep everything organized and it looks beautiful if we choose to do workshops again. Life has definitely changed recently. I decided that to homeschool my girls this year, and that's been definitely challenging, and that's kind of why we're falling behind on planting the garden. But the good thing is they'll get to learn beside me this year, so we are getting it all together right now to plant. So here are some of the seedlings that I've started. These were started on September 11th. These we started, let's see, I flipped these around because the sun was making them come this way. That's when you want to make sure that you're flipping these. If the sun is, if you start to notice your plants are kind of bending a lot, you kind of want to flip them around or bring them out to a better area for sun. This is spotted shade, so that's why I like to start my seedlings over here. And then what I'll do during the day is bring them out over here, which gives them a little more sun. Whatever you do, don't put your seedlings in full sun because it will definitely kill them or fry them back in our hot Florida sun. I started these a while ago on 827. These are getting quite leggy, but it's going to be okay because when I go to plant, I'm just going to plant them real deep. You can do that with tomatoes. I've got some Everglades tomatoes, which I do sell seeds for. These are the Siam tomatoes, which stay really short, which I'm going to put in my GreenStalk towers, which I'll show you in a minute. And I started some eggplants and some sweet banana peppers. Now, if you notice, I'm missing soil in these first couple bays. The reason being is if you follow my Instagram stories, you would have saw that I recently had a really bad storm and our gutters were clogged, which I did not know. So I had these seed trays just sitting out like this. And as the storm was rolling in, I kind of peeked outside because usually I'm concerned about my seeds, or I'll try to tuck them in an area where they're not getting trampled. So I thought my seedlings were safe being under this little edge here. Well, unfortunately, the rain was coming down so fast that was just coming down and splashing my seedlings and everything out onto the table. My husband was so sweet that he started coming out here and trying to fix them up in the middle of the storm, cleaning the gutters out with thunder and lightning, which he was being very brave of doing. Don't recommend doing that at all. I was hollering at him, but he was really trying to be sweet to help me out. But unfortunately, these did not germinate. Peppers and eggplants take a lot longer to germinate, so we'll just replant here in a little bit. So when these go into the ground, I will be treating them with Neem and BT. And these are the products I use. I use Natural Guard, and they're all OMRI listed as well. Though I don't recommend doing these right away. Kind of wait till they're bigger unless you see a problem. And definitely do not spray these in the hot sun. Do it in the evening if you can. With no chance of rain. A lot of the times in the fall, we do not have to even use this. As the weather gets cooler, bugs kind of stay away. Over here is our Neptune Harvest fertilizers again. We like to use the fish and seaweed fertilizer on our seedlings. So as soon as they start to get their true leaves, which means their fourth leaf, I will start fertilizing them. And instead of pouring the mixture on top of the leaves, which you can do that with Neptune Harvest, but if you're not using Neptune's Harvest, you want to use like a plunger so you can squirt them into your trays and not put them on top of them. This is a foiler feed, which is safe to put right on your plants. I love that because sometimes I'm not as diligent about getting fertilizer on the leaves, so I like that you can actually foiler feed or just put it in a water can and put it around the actual plant. So we usually use the fish and seaweed for the first month of their life. Then what I do is I move up to the tomato and veg. When they start to get into the flowering stage to help push more flowers, I use the Roes and flowering. Now, if I notice any of my plants are getting sick or getting powdery mildew or any struggles, what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of this into a spray bottle and mix it with water and spray it on the plant. I used this last year to see if it actually worked on some of our squash and zucchini plants, which it did rescue. So I was very impressed with that one because I've struggled with that in the past and haven't found anything that I really like that is organic or natural. So I've really been enjoying these products. I really think that these guys survive because it's kind of a spotty shade sun area. So we get early morning sun and the rest of the day it's just kind of spotty. I really think that's why our kale plants and collar plants are surviving from last fall also where they are. Through here I only have a couple kale plants that survived where we had a whole row of kale because this garden gets like 8 to 10. I really don't even know how many hours, but it gets way too much hours of sun. We also have some loofahs that are thriving over here. I'll show you that. So this is our loofah vine, and if you've never grown loofahs, they're so fun to grow, and they do well through the summer without any of your help. But look at this. Holy moly. Look at that guy. So anytime I talk about loofah, they're like, oh, I thought they came from the sea. Well, no, you grow them on a vine, and I have seeds for sale. So what you do is you let these guys dry out, and you can actually take the sponge out and use it for dishes or making your own soaps. We absolutely love them. You can harvest them young like this and eat them like zucchini or squash, however you would make those. And they just give off so much food and sponges. This is just 2 plants that I planted before summer, and they are still thriving. Unfortunately, I think what I'm going to do is pull these up, only because we already have so many, and I want to get beans planted. So I'm going to be planting beans very soon. So as you can see from my last video, I'm super excited to show you that I have revived and rescued our Seminole pumpkin patch. We have all kinds of flowers coming through and pumpkins coming, as you can see there. I also have another patch over here, which I'll show you some pumpkins that are coming up. By this time of the year, we are harvesting a lot of the pumpkins, but this summer we did not tend to our Seminole pumpkins. We were gone for quite some time, and these guys didn't do as good because we weren't fertilizing, we weren't caring for them, and we didn't get a whole lot of rain this summer, so that was a factor too. So here's our little Seminole pumpkin, and if you've never grown Seminole pumpkins, I definitely recommend them. They're one of my favorite things to grow. They are native to Florida, and I do sell seeds, so you can find those on my website. They also store up to a year. I have planted mammoth sunflowers here already. I also have, I can't really remember, a ruby eclipse sunflowers here. So this, almost this whole side of the garden it will be a sunflower and pumpkin patch. I'm gonna leave this kale here because we're still harvesting, and I only have a few kale plants that are still alive and producing. And my ancient collard green looks like it's dying, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut him at the bottom and see if he won't come back, but I'll give you an update on that. And over here in my GreenStalk gardens, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them all apart, and I'm going to put the same soil amendments that I am putting in my beds into them. I'm also going to kind of wipe up the sides of them. As you can see, with a lot of the rain we had, kind of got a lot of mud splashing up. I'm just going to kind of spray those off and wipe them around the edges just to kind of keep them clean and keep the buildup from happening. If you don't care about that, you don't really need to do that. But over here, I've got all kinds of peppers still coming through. I've got all kinds of fresh herbs coming through on these. And if you haven't yet purchased a GreenStalk garden, definitely recommend it. You can save $10 off your order with my promo code and link in the description. I absolutely love them. If I could start all over with gardening, I would have started with something like this. They're just so easy to manage. They look so pretty. They're not super expensive, and they have a 5-year warranty, and it's something easy the kids could manage. It's just a wonderful system. All you have to do is water from the top, and it individually waters each tier perfectly. So I will be doing that with some of the prep. Over here, I've got, this is kind of becoming my perennial bed. And I have got some African blue basil, which a friend gave me recently, and I absolutely love it because it brings in so many pollinators. So I've been propagating this like mad to put into our food forest and throughout the garden to just help bring in more pollinators. I've got some longevity spinach, which has been awesome because through the summer, we can't grow lettuce in the zone. But I am growing lettuce inside, which I can't wait to show you a new indoor garden that I'm using. But this longevity spinach produced through the summer, and this whole bed survived while I was gone this summer. We got some cranberry hibiscus. We have some snacking peppers, we've got all kinds of peppers and flowers still coming in. I've got one kale that's still surviving. I just propagated some basil I basically trimmed back my basil plants that we had here and just stuck them in the soil, and they're doing good. Let's see. Over here I have some more African blue basil. Same thing. I just took a cutting and stuck it in my little water trough here. I still have some curly kale from the fall, this past fall that we planted, and it survived through that. I really think it's because I've really got some nice shades. I also wanted to show you guys my asparagus. This is something that has been neglected and it's just been back here by my propagation station. It's just really hard to kind of keep the weeds out because I waited and waited and waited for these guys to come up. And I think it takes about 3 years for these to produce. And I think last year I got like my first 2, and I pulled this out, started pulling the weeds out and trimmed it all back. And as soon as I did that, I had like, here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. Now, honestly, I didn't check on it for a few days, and this is what happened. They just completely went to seed, so I would have had those to eat too. So today I'll be harvesting this one, and then tomorrow I'll have a couple more to harvest, and hopefully we'll have more and more popping up through here. And most likely I'm going to put this in my chicken garden back here. I've pulled everything up and I'm just going to transfer that there, or maybe buy the house since these guys grow super fast. I probably need to keep my eyes on it a little better. So here's another product I'm excited to try out this season. It's called a seed-in soil digger, and they're exactly 1 inch apart. So I'll be using these for my carrots, my peas, my beans, and anything else that I will direct. So this will be super helpful for lining up my holes and getting them exactly where they need to be. So what we started to do in these garden beds is my husband and I came out here and we measured our rows again, just to make sure our rows were exactly where we had them last season. You can see I put stakes in, and we always measure off of this little trellis here to know, because over the year these irrigation lines can get moved around by our kids or animals, and if you're putting soil amendments down and you're spending the money and you're putting all the nutrients in the area of where you're growing your plants, you want to make sure that you're staying in that area. So I also wanted to show you my new Click and Grow garden. This is the garden I just purchased early this summer, and I just did a video on it. So if you guys want to learn more about it, you can save 5% with my link and promo code in the description below. But I've been really happy with it. It has grow lights on it. I'll show you a picture after this scene of what it looks like when it has its lights on. But it's just beautiful. We have it back here behind our table. And I also can put little things like our celery that we have in water that we're growing, onions under here because it casts the lights. But it has about 16 hours of grow light so that you get the double amount of sun or light growing these, so they grow twice as fast. So it's actually at the point where I can start harvesting, but I wanted to show you guys that. I also wanted to show you our microgreens that we're growing here. I've got a little light on to show you because this is kind of a darker area in our kitchen. But let me see if I can show you here. Get a better light here. There you go. So these are really fun to grow. And every so often I kind of put them here where the light catches them. But I'll show you my seeds and where I got this cute little thing from. But we like to add these on our salads and sandwiches. There's so much nutrition that you can get from microgreens. They're not quite yet ready to harvest. We've got maybe a few more days to where they can get a little taller, and we'll start harvesting those. I also have started some sprouts here. I have my seeds soaking, but I can literally grow a whole entire jar of sprouts in about 5 days. So all I'm doing is pouring my seeds in, soaking them the first day, and then rinsing them each day and putting them, I just put them right here on the ledge here where I get a little bit of light from this window. And our kids love them, same thing. We put them on salads, sandwiches, and whatnot. And I have the seeds here. I'll show you where I get those in this great little straining jar here that's real nice, in our mason jars. Got a few little indoor plants here that I'm propagating. All right guys, now I'm going to show you all the seeds that I'll be starting for fall. We always start cabbage, and we like cauliflower. We're going to do sugar daddy peas. Those are always a big hit with my younger ones. And if you ever see me write the date on these, that's when I planted last year, just to kind of see, do I want to start them earlier or later? And we're obviously definitely kind of behind on that, but it's okay. We're also going to start some zinnias. I found these last year. They are pretty neat. They're just kind of a different type of zinnia than we usually grow, and I let the girls pick out some. This is the bird and butterfly mix we used last year, which was fun. This is the wildflower mix my daughter used, and she enjoyed growing that. We are also going to do some cilantro. We eat a ton of cilantro, and I feel like we can never grow enough. We're going to do some squash and zucchini. So we don't want to grow a ton of that because I've just never been successful with squash and zucchini in our zone. I get a few and then I get a lot of problems after that. And I'm also going to do some white marigolds. These are actually from GreenStalk Garden. Every time I order a GreenStalk Garden, they send some free seeds. They also sell seeds, so I'll be trying their seeds out this year. We always like to do some Dinosaur Kale. I've already started my kale and my collards. We also want to do some of the dazzling blue kale. These are Baker Creek seeds, which I enjoy. Some more Dinosaur Kale from Seeds of Change. I think I might skip the 1,000 head kale this year just because it does take up a lot of space. We had fun with it in the past, but I think we're going to kind of give that a break. I also had a friend that gave me some milkweed seeds, so that should be fun, growing a little butterfly garden. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to wait to do that in the summer. I love growing kohlrabi. It's always fun to do, and they just kind of look like little aliens the way they grow. The kids love them. I like to eat them raw. We did start some moneymaker seeds. We did start some sweet banana peppers, though I had a big major fail with our seeds, so we're going to try to restart some more of those. Also going to do some dwarf blue curled kale. If anybody knows a good variety of the curly kale, I don't really want the dwarf strain. I want something that will grow big. So if you have any recommendations on seeds, let me know, because I really enjoyed curly kale, but for some reason they kind of stayed small in our garden. I got a couple packs of that. We also are going to do Georgia Southern collards and Vates collards. We are going to skip celery this year. I may grow just a couple. They just didn't taste good in my soul. I'm pretty sure there's something special I need to do to celery to make it taste good and kind of keep it not so dry. We did start some eggplants. At any point you guys have suggestions or questions, you can definitely put them in the comments below. I always answer all of them that I can. The girls picked these out, so I'm going to let them do their own little garden this year, as we did last year. So try those out. I enjoy growing bok choy. I also sell bok choy seeds on my website. I was kind of low on my seeds and wanted to kind of stock up, so I grabbed some of these from Haas. So we'll try those out. I've never really been successful with Brussels sprouts, but we're going to give a couple plants a try, and if anybody has special tips on that, please share them. Don't keep them to yourself. These are early bush scallop squash. I tried these back in 2020 and they were so cute. So I want to give those a try again this year. We are going to do some squash. This is some summer squash. I've got some Swiss chard. Not a big fan of Swiss chard. We might skip that this year. Trying to downscale a little bit. We always love all kinds of different varieties of lettuce. So we're gonna do some emerald oak. We always grow romaine, so we're gonna do that. We're also gonna try some of this lettuce bowl. On one side of the garden, I did all sunflowers. So we just did some mammoth sunflowers, which I sell on my website. And I saved some seeds and I'm testing them in our garden right now to see if they're true to their color and to see if I want to put them on the website. But this is the Ruby Eclipse seeds. Some more bok choy of Seed of Change. Also, another GreenStalk seed packet. They call it Vate's kale. This may be the kale that will grow curly kale pretty large, so I'm excited to try that. I've already started seeds for that. This is also Vate's. It's Burpee brand. We grew these last year and I enjoyed these over our southern collards. There was kind of less places to hide. And I really couldn't tell much of the difference in the taste. So we're gonna do those again. Beets. We will be doing beets, but I will not be planting them till October, November. I feel like over the years, they've just never done well. And someone gave me a tip last year and said start them later. So we're gonna start those later. Carrots is always a big deal for our family. Our kids absolutely love them. And we'll be planting those. I'm kind of behind on planting them, but I'm waiting for this really cool tool. I'll flash a picture up in the screen of it actually just like prints holes in the ground for you, because every time I just kind of scatter the carrots on the ground, which then ends up being way too close. I've tried all kinds of different ways and I've just never, I want to have enough space to grow real nice sized carrots. So we're going to try that and be a little bit more diligent this year. I've got all kinds of different flowers that my kids picked out that they want to grow. And if you have any suggestions on flowers that you've grown, especially pollinators, let me know, because we might get the girls to try something different. So another thing we're planting is our royal Burgundy beans. These are always fun. They grow purple, and then when you put them in the pan and cook them, they go green. So we call them our little magic beans around here. So these are seeds I saved from a couple years ago. We're gonna try those out. And some zinnias we tried out last year that are giant. Those were real fun. These are Baker Creek seed, Dinosaur Kale again. I like trying different varieties, just kind of see what does better. We will be doing some French dressing. This is kind of my favorite radish, and they've done pretty good. They're real easy to grow, especially if you have kids. This is kind of a, you know, sprinkle on the ground, no brainer, and they're really fun to just pull up and harvest. So I think a lot of these are duplicates of what I'm already planting. Oh, we always grow buttercrunch and red romaine. So those are big time for our family. They're just very mild lettuces that all the kids will eat, and we'll be doing those again. I also will be doing some broccoli. I also sell broccoli seeds on the website. We already started some tomatoes. I started some Siam. They're like mini tomatoes. I also started some money makers and Everglades tomatoes, which I sell on the website. That's just a duplicate. And I'm thinking about trying butternut squash, though I think I might be a little late. We'll see. Last year I just had a problem with the squirrels getting them before I could, so we'll give that another try. Oh, just kidding. These are the Ruby Eclipse seeds that I saved from last year. These are, I can't remember the color, but they were just basically like a yellow color. Same type of variety with multi-heads. And moneymaker. Now this is something a friend gave me. Lagos spinach. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but we're gonna give that a try as well. So usually I'm more organized and have this all laid out beautifully, but today I'm doing things on the fly because life has definitely changed. And if you are interested in finding out all of the products that we use, are from the seed trays to our fertilizers to all the things that we use in our garden, I will have links below. And I wish everybody luck this growing season, and I'll give you an update soon.